everybody. Welcome back to the Forecast, a bi-weekly podcast about everything games, film, and news. I'm Aaron Juno.
I'm Alex McCausland.
I'm Caleb Juno.
I'm Chad McCausland.
And I'm Jake Fettercom.
On today's episode, number 203, Gamescom opens with some bangers, and the studio behind Hi-Fi Rush is saved by an unlikely publisher. Plus, we try out Slay the Spire, but in board game format. Ben misses the podcast because he can't beat Margit the Fell Omen. And of course, we've been playing games. If you'd like to know more about what we do, you can follow us on our social channels. You can check out our website at wearethehorizon.com, where we have a ton of original content for you to browse through, including our multi-arc Starfinder adventure. Including our new Pathfinder 2e campaign, Crown and Conquest.
Single arc.
Only one arc.
Only one arc, yep. Well, I don't know. I guess you could call it multiple arcs, because we're going all over the place, really.
Just one. One big arc. If you guys deviate from the arc, I'm deleting the map as we go.
Done. Excellent. Additionally, everything we talk about is in our cast notes, which are pushed out to whatever podcasting app you are using. All right. Are we ready to get into it?
No, one second. Aaron, have you ever seen one of these before?
The markers, yes. They're so weird.
It's called a mini driver, though. Do you think you actually throw this?
There's no freaking way you throw a disc that small when you're playing disc golf.
It's called the mini driver.
There's no way.
It's for mini disc golf.
Oh my God, is there mini disc golf?
I might bring this and
Mini
throw
disc
it and
golf?
see how far it goes next
Bro,
time
it
I
might
go.
be a thing.
No
It could
joke.
be a thing.
You should show up one week when we go to play
Just
disc
with
golf
all
and
mini.
just bring mini discs.
That's a thing.
And just for mini discs, just to see what people do.
It's a thing. You looked it up?
The thing.
Man, power of the internet.
Mini disc golf?
Yeah.
All right. Oh, Kate's over here in this podcast.
You're gone.
and I'm gone
Later,
because
That's
I wasn't here.
hilarious.
I wasn't here last time apparently. So I guess I'm not gonna podcast. Is what's gonna happen. I'm gonna hang out while you guys podcast. Does that sound fine?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, you
Chad.
gotta lead us.
Still here.
I believe we have a new CCCP
What, you
this
can't take
week.
me away when I'm introducing the CCCP.
I got you back. Look, you're there. I got you. I said make a quick
We
adjustment.
got it. Okay.
Hey,
Yeah,
we got a
so-
CCCP here.
Who's
that?
Is that your chat impersonation?
No, it's just the way that he said "a." Just go ahead. I'll be
Where
quiet.
did you go?
now.
Oh, okay.
Goodbye.
All right, yeah. So we have a nice Chad's community conversation primer. This one was actually sent in and not created, but I mean, yeah. So, if you could go on vacation to one fantasy location, what would it be?
Nice rhyme.
There's more to this question though,
Oh, God.
Oh.
because there's the what should we talk about, and then a but why section. So the but why section says, in like specific building or beach or cave or whatever. Also, please say why you like that one. For example, House of Wind from the ACOTR series.
Akatar.
Which series is that again?
A Court of Thorns and Roses.
Mm.
That's
Never heard
part of our Expanding Horizons podcast. Thank you, Alex. Appreciate that.
Because the views would be immaculate, and I would finally get some peace and quiet. That was the example.
It's tough. I feel like most of the fantasy games I play would not be a fun place to go.
Yeah,
I feel like most
it
of
would
them are
look
miserable.
cool.
Just
Yeah.
go to Limgrave.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would not want to go to Limgrave or any Souls. Man, can you go into Bloodborneville?
Ooh.
Going to Yarnum? Fucking kill me. Kill me immediately.
My initial thought was
Go to
the
Westeros.
Abyss from Made in Abyss. But then I was like, I would die
That
so
sounds
fast.
so awful.
It would
Yeah.
be cool, but I would die so fast.
When you say fantasy, can it be like the future of the real world? Like some sort of book that takes place in the future?
That's
I
sci-fi.
don't freaking know.
I mean, that's basically sci-fi because we don't know what the future is going to be like, right? Presumably, they just made it up.
I guess it wouldn't have anything to do with the real world in the end, huh?
I mean, fantasy like Harry Potter. Harry Potter's fantasy.
Harry Potter would be cool.
Go to Hogwarts.
As long as it's not like the Wizard Wars or something.
Yeah, there's like a war. I don't like that.
Yeah.
Like every fantasy story you can think of is gonna have some like huge conflict that's gonna be super deadly or something. Like it's gonna be.
Members. Oh, White Walker's cool.
I'm kind of comfortable here, you know.
I'm kind of comfortable.
This is a hard one.
It's really hard.
Any more like slice of life calming games?
Yeah.
Hmm.
You know, if it was post Firelord Azulon, could go to like the Air Nomads, one of the temples. That'd be cool.
You gotta be real careful with your timing on that one.
You do.
That one's fun.
Well
It's
before
really
the
not.
Yep.
Presumably, you're not able to bend air. You're just visiting, so I feel like that'd be
That's
like.
okay. They have visitors all the time, man. That's fine.
I would also be terrified. They put me on like a flying bison or something.
Yeah. That'd be
So
awesome.
scary.
Man, my first thought was you guys know the movie Palm Springs?
Yeah.
Mhm.
That was my first thought. Was some situation, some scenario, some fantasy world where there's a constant time loop, so you could just test your own limits.
Mm.
Sure.
Okay.
I see you.
Or like Stargate when O'Neill's stuck in a time loop. But the problem is you'd have to pick like that exact. You can't do that. It's not really like a fantasy world versus Palm Springs, which is actually like an entire encapsulated story that happens right there.
Mm.
Oh man, obvious answer is you like they said specific building or room or whatever holodeck.
Holodeck.
Oh,
That's good.
Dumb.
That's
Then you can
really
go
good.
anywhere.
Yeah, it's the circumvent answer.
But what happens
Yeah.
if the safety protocols go offline?
They always
That would never
do.
happen. That would never happen.
Would never happen.
Not convinced they ever turn them on.
I don't think
They
I
probably don't exist.
I don't think I play or watch enough fantasy to really give a solid answer on this.
Oh, I guess that one actually does run into the issue of sci-fi. It's sci-fi. Does that count? The holodeck.
I feel like sci-fi and fantasy. Sci-fi is just fantasy with technology.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Man.
Yeah, I guess it's not fantasy. Just not nonfiction.
That's just a tough question. I don't have a
Yeah, it's tough.
You know what? Actually, I do kind of have an answer. And I think it's kind of a cop-out answer. But in Pendragon, there's the flumes in which they travel between worlds. And so you could just go anywhere. And so, you know, that little room that starts you off, you know, before you actually like speak a name of a different planet. Like 9 times out of 10, if you're able to travel because you're one of those, you know, travelers, you're going to a conflict, but still would be cool to go explore those planets, universes, or whatever.
That sounds so dangerous.
I feel like most fantasy settings, just in general, have like a higher level of danger than any other, you know, anything we'd experience now. So it's not going to really feel like a vacation.
Yeah.
You're like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I'd love to go back to like, you know, Lord of the Rings. I want to go to that setting.
God.
Sure. Oh, orcs running around everywhere?
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Dead instantly.
No air conditioner.
Oh, that's true.
Bruh.
Good point.
Bruh.
Good point. What about
Struggle.
Columbia from Bioshock Infinite? Columbia? That's what it's called, right?
That is what it's called.
Yeah.
You want to
Go
go there,
there.
huh?
Nothing
Nothing bad ever happened to Columbia.
pre-riot.
Nothing
I
bad
feel like
ever
maybe that
happened
place
there.
had a few other issues,
It probably did.
even pre-riots.
True, but
If we're okay with sci-fi, Valhalla is it's a bartender game that takes place in like a cyberpunky bar, and it's just really chill and really cool. It's the world sounds very scary, but it's very nice and safe in the bar.
Nice.
So there's at least that. This is a dumb one. It probably wouldn't actually be fun to go, but I feel like it'd be so interesting. World of Horror, I think, has a very interesting setting.
I would
If
never
anyone's
go
familiar
there.
with World of Horror,
No.
I feel like
Never
it's
go
just
there.
so interesting, though.
It is interesting.
Crazy. That's crazy talk.
Yeah.
I feel like
It has
it'd be cool.
horror right
That's
in the
insane.
title.
Yeah, but it's like the
And
whole
it's-
gimmick is that like it's a normal person who's like tackling it, so you could be that guy. You know what I mean? It's not
No,
like they're not
thank you.
super powered.
I'm
No.
good.
I'd fight a ghost.
There's a lot scarier things than ghosts in that game.
Maybe.
Man, okay, I take it back. If sci-fi E stuff does count, then I'm gonna say Tron.
Tron.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I feel like if this
Agreed.
question is expanded upon, this would be easier to answer, right? Because like Tyria is like a cool place that I think would be really, really cool to explore. But do I also get the powers from whatever character that
I don't think so. I think
It's
you're just
just
visiting.
it's just so I'm just a
You're just
merchant
visiting
at
it's
that
that
just
point.
place
you.
as a
There.
fleshy human that is.
I'm just one of those
weak
guys that
and
stands around
powerless.
being like, "Oh my god, Commander, thank you for saving me."
The other problem you really got to worry about is you better not go someplace where it's like a human being could not possibly physically exist in that universe,
Mhm.
because then you just instantly die. No protections. It's just like, yo, you want to go on vacation there? Done. You're on vacation there. Good luck.
You're like one of the vendors that are standing in Lion's Ark when like Scarlet came to kill it and destroyed most of the town, killing some of the civilians. And so like, yeah, I mean, it'll be cool to go, I guess.
As long as you can make it back.
Yeah, you know, the undead plague that's you know plaguing the entire continent. You know,
Yeah. Oh man.
Good question.
Cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good question.
Mhm.
Thank you for that, CCCP, Chad. By the way, that's Chad's community conversation primer for anybody who wants to know. I feel like I get poked every time I just say CCCP, so I'm.
I don't know, man. We might have to report you to the government.
Yeah.
Saying
Yeah, let's move on to some news-related items, and the most important one is that Gamescom had its opening night, and man, there's some big announcements.
Yeah, I don't remember Gamescom ever being like a place where announcements happen really
Yeah, I don't either.
until this year, but I guess maybe filling a void that E3 left a bit behind.
I mean, gotta find an audience somewhere.
Yeah.
Not everything can go to Key 3.
Although he did host this event, so
Did he?
yeah.
God bless. Go Jeff Keighley.
Yeah, so they had a couple of announcements at least. They started off the show with straight up like just announcing Borderlands 4.
Just in time to capitalize on the hit film.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
I know, it's so sad. But the trailer doesn't really show anything at all. It's just like a cinematic where there's like a planet that teleports and crashes through some sort of shield of a different planet or something, and then a bunch of asteroids fall. And there's like a guy picking up a Borderlands mask, but it's got like alien fingers. So I don't know what that means.
I mean, for what it's worth, that's better than the trailer that they showed at PAX East for Borderlands 3, if you remember that one.
I
was
don't.
like-
I think I
it was
blocked
like-
that out.
It was like a marble statue where they were just slowly, like, the
yeah.
camera was moving out and panning, and it was just showing basically statues of people that are in the Borderlands universe, and that is it. There was nothing. It was just title card done.
I mean, my assumption from that trailer, and you know, it's just a trailer, you can't really read much into it, but would be that they're going to go off Pandora finally.
Yeah. I guess
Uh,
that means like new races to fight and stuff.
Sure.
Presumably.
Man, I don't know. Borderlands, I feel like Borderlands' cultural moment has really passed.
Yeah.
I feel like they'd really need to up the ante for anyone to care about 4 at this point, but I could be
Mhm.
wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It hasn't been a big thing since like Borderlands 2, probably.
Yeah. 3 was kind of whatever. I feel like it didn't get a lot of love. Didn't get a lot of hate either. It just kind of came out and people were like, oh yeah. Okay.
There's just more Borderlands.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right?
And probably
Ti-
pre-sequel, I think.
Tiny Tina's was successful, wasn't it?
Tiny Tina's was awesome.
Probably. But, I mean, Tiny Tina.
yeah.
We're talking about the spin-off game, not the DLC.
I mean,
Oh.
Yeah,
That is-
yeah.
at its core, what exactly is Borderlands? It's a looter shooter. So
Yeah.
like,
Mhm.
Yep.
I feel like there are other various looter shooters that are out there to date right now that like
Like what?
kind of better.
Like what in particular? Any
mean-
games come to mind?
Not gonna fall for that trap.
Yeah.
no.
I will say, I think there is a particular draw to the cell shaded stylization of Borderlands, which really I think brings people back. I don't know why. I mean, it's unique, but it's not that unique anymore. There's other types of games that definitely have like cell shading stylization. Maybe not exactly like Borderlands, but close enough that I feel like you could get that out of a different game you're playing.
Yeah. I'm kind of mad at Borderlands because of the cell shading, because everybody just associates that with Borderlands. So anytime any other game tries to take a spin on the cell shading look, they're
Yeah.
like, oh, just copying Borderlands art style. And I'm like, cell shading is like such a basic
Right.
Mhm.
like effect. What like people were upset about Spectre Divide because it has cell shading stuff in it that doesn't even really look that much like Borderlands cell shading, but it's cell shading. And people are like, oh, Borderlands look.
That's dumb because it's only really the characters too, right? Like the
Yeah.
maps aren't cell shaded.
Yeah. It's weird.
No. Wasn't Hi-Fi Rush, isn't that also technically cell shaded?
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I don't know if I would call it cell shaded.
Yeah, it's a cartoony look.
look.
Yeah, I
Similar
see why
vibe.
you would say that.
Anyway, we basically know nothing about that. We'll see, I guess, if they do anything drastic. To
Supposed
shake
to
it
be
up.
coming out 25. I have my doubts.
No
Next
way.
year? All right,
no
yeah,
way.
Yeah.
We'll see about that.
Mm-hmm.
Another surprise that I was kind of surprised to see is Dying Light: The Beast, which is not just DLC for Dying Light 2. It's like a standalone thing that is smaller in scale, but it has the main character from the first game is the main character in this.
Oh.
So
He
that's
doesn't
his name.
die.
Is
Kyle
it the
Crane.
Beast?
Kyle Crane. Yeah.
Kyle Crane.
How do you remember that? That's the worst name I've ever heard.
That's a pretty
I
dumb
don't
name.
know.
We
Pretty bad
flew
name.
through that game, man.
I was about to say I didn't get very attached to the character or the story that he was in because the people I played with insisted upon speedrunning.
We
That's
did not
because this was like the
speed run
fourth
it.
time we tried playing it. Maybe fifth.
We were playing normally for a while, and at some point, everybody was just like, "We need to finish this game as fast as humanly possible." We're
Honestly,
exploring
probably
nothing.
the
We're
best way to
running
play
from
it.
point to point as fast
was-
as we can.
It was a really fun way to play that game.
What's the
agree.
how long to beat? We're undercutting it by like 6 hours.
I mean, here's what I'll tell you. I played Dying Light solo, tried to listen to the story, and then stopped playing the game because I found the story so bad. So I think
Yeah.
that was the best way to play it.
I'm pretty
I
sure
can
this
see
is
that.
just built off of like Dying Light 2 technology, so it was like cheap to make. But
This was originally planned as a DLC, though, right? And they spun it off in its own thing.
is that the case? I didn't really look too much into it.
I think that's what they said, is that they originally planned for this to be an actual DLC for Dying Light 2, but then it just like has morphed and grown, and they're just like, we can't.
Like Silk Song.
Yeah, so it's never going to come out. so I'm
Don't
hearing.
say that. Come on. Don't wish that on them.
Hopefully it doesn't
man.
run like Dying Light 2 did.
Man.
Ooh, get them.
Yeah. Yikes.
Yikes, man.
The Dark Pictures anthology people, Supermassive, I believe,
Mhm.
they announced a new game called Directive 8020 in that series. It's the
Great
first
name.
one that is sci-fi, which is pretty exciting to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it looks sick. I enjoy those games a lot, so
They're fun.
putting one in the future finally seems really cool, because usually they're just like old Dusty Town ghost stories.
It kind of
So-
gives me like Dead Spacey vibes or Callisto Protocol vibes.
Yeah.
But Lashana Lynch is the main actress for this, plays the main character, at least as far as we can tell so far, I think. And it just looks great. I'm very excited.
Looks scary.
Heck yeah. But you can play it because it's a group game, Alex.
Yeah.
I could play it if it was solo, because I could
Oh,
play
Yeah,
scary games.
okay, sure.
Yeah, okay. All
He
right.
beat Alan Wake 2, guys.
Did. That's true.
We still gotta finish the frickin' Quarry.
Yeah, no kidding.
We do. We'll do it around Halloween this year.
Yeah.
Finally finish it up. Marvel Rivals got the announcement for their release date, which is December 6th. So coming this year.
Very soon.
They also announced 2 new characters joining the roster, Captain America and Bucky, Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier. Winter Soldier looks crazy fun.
Yeah.
You can, like, grapple people to him, and he's got a shotgun. It seems like he might be a little busted.
Yeah.
But
He
it's a little
seems
hard
like
to
it's
tell from the trailer.
sick.
It looks like his ult has like kill resets.
Yeah.
That's cool. I think,
Is-
I mean, just purely based on, I think Jake said this last time, that if this game came out tomorrow, I would be like, it's a solid game. Like, it already feels like they've built it well enough that it's very playable. So December 6th, that's a lot of time for them to fine tune, which I'm excited about.
They also,
Yeah.
I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, they announced that you're not going to have to pay for any of the heroes.
Yeah, so that was their other big announcement. Heroes
Heck,
are free,
yes.
the roster at the start, and any new ones that they add to the game. So
Overwatch just can't catch a break, huh?
sick. I thought for sure they were going to try to monetize the heroes. Like, that would be their primary
Yeah.
method. But it seems like they're just going to go the old cosmetics route, which is fine by me.
I mean, I'll tell you right now, I feel a lot more inclined to get, like, a battle pass or buy a cosmetic if I'm not being nickel and dime for the characters. You know what I mean?
I
Yeah.
completely agree.
Like, if this game came out and they wanted to nickel and dime for the characters, I'm like, fine, you're not getting a dime out of me. I'm just gonna
Yep.
play this for free. And
Yep.
eventually I'll stop. I'll get bored.
Man, that's very exciting. I'm so glad they're doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pumped for this game.
I
I
wasn't
had
sure.
It's
a
very
blast
fun.
playing.
Like, they sent surveys during the beta, and one of them had questions about what you would be okay seeing monetized, and one of them talked about, are you okay with paying for characters? So I wonder if they just got an overwhelming no from that from everybody.
Sure.
Well, what did your long form response include? Because yours is
I
the one that
talked
they
about-
read.
I talked about all sorts of stuff in the comments at the end, like specific nitpicky gameplay things,
Mm.
Man,
feedback on abilities.
this guy, they just have your form, like your
Swinging.
feedback report, like hanging on the wall, pinned to the
Yeah.
wall somewhere. Yeah, it's there.
I mean, all I can say is pretty much everything that I wrote out at the end of my survey from the alpha was fixed in the beta.
Hmm.
So they probably read mine and threw everybody else's way.
Makes sense.
Fix all my stuff.
Like, this
Check
is
that.
the only
It's-
guy we really need to get any feedback
Honestly,
from.
I submitted one and I said, don't read this. Read Alex McCall's.
Okay. Next up, I wanted to mention Civ 7, which was not a new announcement, but they actually finally showed some stuff from that game. We got that announced a couple months ago, I think, at this point, but it was just like a, hey, we're doing it sort of thing with no specifics. The feature that stuck out to me that they talked about, which is new, is ages. So I think the way Civ 6 works, correct me if I'm wrong, you got eras, so it's like ancient era into whatever, and it's like new technology gets unlocked and whatnot. This is like an extension of that system, I think, where when you move from one age to another, you get a new civilization and leader that is relevant to that age in actual history,
Oh, interesting.
and you build over the top of your previous civilization.
Huh.
And,
That's cool.
and they talk about how there's like new like gameplay elements and mechanics and stuff that happen in the different ages as you progress.
Interesting.
So you don't play the same civilization the entire game, which is
Well, you play the same civilization, but not the same leader,
Yeah.
right?
I guess not the same leader, but like you can have like different architecture types that are built on top of each other and stuff like that. They said it kind of like evolves over time
Interesting.
with like the look and stuff like that.
like a renaissance or something happening.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
That's a cool idea.
Seems
I'll
very
be curious
difficult to
to see how
implement.
they. Yeah, I'll be curious to see how it turns out because I could see it being a nightmare to manage.
I feel like this
rather
is the
than building new stuff, you're just constantly revamping your old stuff.
I feel
don't
like
know.
this is the Skyrim announcement when they're like, "Oh yeah, you'll be able to mix spells. Put one in your right hand, put one in your left hand. Mix spells."
Yes, and then it's like, well, if it's the same spell.
Yeah, man. I
Yeah.
feel like nobody remembers that at this point.
Oh, bro, that was the most disappointing news for Skyrim for me. Get out of here. Nobody remembers that.
That's funny. Masters of Albion, how to say, is the title of Peter Molyneux's new game because they brought Peter Molyneux out on stage. This man that I haven't seen in years at this point.
What
to
even
gush.
was? Sorry, go on.
He just gushed about his new project. So he first of all he was like, "Yeah, man, I just wanted to go back to basics because I've been working in mobile for a while, so I just wanted to bring it back home." And I went and found, I got like a 20-person studio that's been working on this. I went and found all the old people from like Black and White and Original Fable and all the stuff that I worked with back in the day, brought them all together. We're the best in the business. Now we're making a new God game. It's called Masters of Albion. I'm like, all right, dude, you do your thing, I guess. Yeah, what they showed, the unique features they showed was like, it's a God game where you're like building a town, managing your people and all that stuff, and like you build up defenses and whatnot, and then things will attack at night, I guess. But you can take direct control of characters and go do combat when that happens. And then also at the same time, if you don't want to do that, you can pull back out to God mode and like cast spells from your little hand. You have a little hand that floats around and picks things up. So you can like cast spells from it and like shoot people. And also they're like, yeah, you can just do whatever. Like you see this guy on the ground, just pick him up and throw him across the freaking city. And they did it. They threw a guy across the city and he like hit a building and died. I was like, okay.
Trailer, they zoom into a building and he proceeds to make a sandwich.
Yeah. He was like, you build everything in this game. Like, I don't know. Like, it's probably not going to pan out typical Peter Molyneux style, but he's like, yeah, you can do anything. It's a true God game. Zoom in here, make the sandwich, whatever, man. Rearrange this building however you want. And they start like ripping roofs off of buildings and throwing them around, and they're just like ragdolling around the city while you're managing with stuff, putting other roofs on things. Weird.
What a guy.
At least he's not trying to sell me like a small boy that's going to be my friend anymore.
What
was that called?
That was Milo.
Milo, yes.
Milo.
And then the last thing I had marked from this event was something called Secret Level, which they brought out this dude that I guess they work for some studio that works on a lot of the big cutscenes in games that you see that are like big fancy cutscenes. And he was like, yeah, man, we always have like our cool cutscenes and cinematics and stuff up on YouTube. And people are always like, man, I wish we could get a series that was like this. And he's like, so that's what we did. We made a series. So it's partnering with like a bunch of different video game IPs, and it's an anthology series from the people behind Love, Death, and Robots.
Oh.
Heck yeah, man.
Working with this studio.
So it's
It
it's like a animated series?
Animated, yeah, but like high fidelity CG stuff like you'd see in big budget AAA.
Interesting.
My initial thought was like, that's not what people meant when they said we want a series. They meant like a like continuing like arc of story, not like 10 episodes of more trailers. But
Yeah. I mean,
It looks cool.
They have released a list
cool,
of the games. It's Pac-Man, Warhammer 40k, Concord, Mega Man, Unreal Tournament, New World, Armored Core, Spelunky, Honor King, Sifu, Dungeons and Dragons, The Outer Worlds, Crossfire, and Exodus.
Did you say Pac-Man?
Yeah.
Pac-Man. Yep.
All right,
Mega
sure.
Man.
I mean,
Yep.
Mega Man at least has a gun and is a guy. Pac-Man is a mouth.
they also
Sure.
just list PlayStation, I think, at some point.
Oh,
I really
fuck
hope
yeah. I love that
Sony
game.
owned stuff.
I love PlayStation.
I think I saw Kratos like for a flash in the trailer, if I'm not
That
mistaken.
makes sense.
I really hope
Kratos versus Nathan
the
Drake.
episode specifically for Pac-Man is like a horror episode, and Pac-Man is like
The monster.
some big evil monstrosity that eats things. Man, yes, I'm totally
Hyper
on board.
realistic Pac-Man.
Yes. It's like a Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's do it. I mean, I there's some exciting things there, I guess, from Gamescom. I think it's weird that I do agree that it's weird that there are announcements there, but maybe it's just because maybe it's to fill the gap. And I think other than Borderlands, and really even Marvel Rivals. I think that's also a weird spot for them to announce. I feel like everything else is a big enough IP. If they're going to do an announcement, they're probably just doing it on YouTube, which is what we've been talking about. Everybody's just transitioning to their own. They want their own audience.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's why E3 died.
Yeah,
there was like a bunch of other stuff that I didn't feel necessarily mentioning. Like they did like a huge long segment with Call of Duty and a bunch of other little games, but
bro, what are you thinking? You know this is a Call of Duty podcast.
Yeah.
Get out of here. Just guy.
Oh, I actually am excited about one game they announced, which is Monument Valley 3.
Oh.
Because the Monument Valley games are actually really good.
What are Monument Valley?
Yeah, that's the same thing.
They're the mobile games with they're like all about puzzles. Perspective puzzles, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I do know what that is. I was pretty sure. I feel like I heard about this when I was like in college, like years ago when the first one came out, right? Or am I mistaken?
Yeah, it was quite a while ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
The only other thing we have to note in news here is that Tango Gameworks has actually been saved by none other than PUBG's publisher, which is interesting. But
yeah, very weird fit.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's Krafton is the name of the publisher. But they bought Tango Gameworks. They extended offers to all the old staff for everyone to come back. I think I heard they got like 50% people to come back. That was an old number that could have gone up since last I heard. Mm-hmm. But the big thing is they also got the Hi-Fi IP. Yeah. Which is great. I kind of figured that it would be like they get the studio and the people, but the IP, Microsoft's got it locked down. But they managed to get that too. Which I think that's so exciting. I thought Hi-Fi Rush was such a blast. And just really well crafted, especially for like a freaking debut title. Well, I guess it's not a debut title. The studio's made other things, but you know what I mean. Like a new IP to nail it so well right out of the gate, I thought was really cool.
They have, they have other interesting games. They did the Evil Within series, right? They did Ghostwire Tokyo.
Please.
Ghostwire Tokyo. They don't have the IPs for either of those.
I know. I'm just saying, Hi-Fi Rush is clearly their pinnacle.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad that's the one they landed. That's the one they were able to capture.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here, Caleb. I never got the vibe that the Evil Within was like a really rich setting.
No, not really.
Like, if they just were like, okay, we're making a new horror game, and it's called The Evil Without.
Yeah. That would be a problem. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, because like Hi-Fi Rush, you miss, the whole style, and the setting and everything. There's a lot there. Whereas, Evil Within, I was always like, it felt always kind of like generic horror. Like, they do it well, but it wasn't like, it's not like a Dead Space where it's like, oh, you're missing out on this whole aesthetic. It was just like, oh yeah, it's just kind of everything.
For sure.
Yeah. Moving on to tabletop, we wanted to bring one thing up, and that is Caleb has forced us to sit down at a table and play one of his favorite games of all time, which is Slay the Spire in board game format.
Words in my mouth there.
What a monster.
I know. He's the worst.
In multiple ways.
Tell us about it, Caleb. Alex and I really don't want to talk about it. We've been so bored playing, so I prefer that you
forced me to do it. Thanks. Great.
Yeah.
So I picked up the Slay the Spire board game, and man, it does a really good job of sticking to the mechanics from the video game, which you'd think is really weird for a board game, but it works surprisingly well. It is co-op as well. You can have up to 4 people playing, and you're all basically playing the same roguelike Slay the Spire run, but you're fighting larger groups of enemies all at the same time, kind of helping each other out. And I think it just plays really well. The leveling up mechanics are really good. By leveling up, I mean like the roguelike deck building mechanics are really good. All the relic stuff carries over almost 1-to-1 from the game. It's crazy.
A lot of it is 1-to-1.
Yeah.
It's kind of nuts how much of the video game is just directly translated with like added co-op mechanics. I feel like they could just add co-op mechanics to the video game now.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be cool? Well. I'm surprised nobody's made like a cooperative Slay the Spire type game. That's wild. You could have like different classes and different decks. That'd be cool. Maybe someday.
Someday.
I mean, there's arguments out there that people are claiming like the board game is even better than the the video game.
Yeah.
Ow.
Which maybe I really like co-op stuff. I probably would rather play this than the video game at this point.
Also, I feel like in general, co-op deck builders in board game, like in actual board game format, they're kind of few and far between. And when you find one, usually they're not. I don't know. They just don't hit. They're just not exactly what you're looking for. Yeah. This one, I'm very impressed by. Across the board,
it's
just
really
unique.
simple.
Mm-hmm.
Really simple to learn.
Yep.
Which I was surprised by.
I feel like the simplicity to learn, it's unfair because I feel like we have played so many hours of Gloomhaven and looked at icons and tokens that now to us, a lot of this feels like, oh, that looks like a strengthened thing. I bet there's something that, you know what I mean? It's just like automatic.
Sure,
Your kind of brain just connects those two items.
Also, at the point we're at in the game now, what are we at the end of Act 2?
Yeah.
I just look at my board and there's just like, so there's so many things that could affect anything
There are
at
a
any
lot.
time.
Yeah, we have like 12 relics
Yeah.
each.
It's pretty nuts.
pretty
and-
nice.
I think one of my favorite parts about it so far has been we almost lost Act 2, and then we sat there for just like 5 minutes and we were like, all right, is there some other combination of cards we could play to achieve what we need to achieve? Because in essence, like you're all playing simultaneously, right? So you don't, you know, if you feel like you're not going to be able to achieve something, you're just like, well, let me swap over. I'm going to remove this card and maybe just do extra healing here and maybe add some block. And just to keep you alive one extra round, which, I mean, it helped us to win, which I thought was really cool.
The thing is, if any one of you gets to 0 health, you all lose the game. So there's a lot of interplay between characters where I wasn't going to be able to survive unless people were able to help me in some way. Give me block or something.
So is it like a campaign style game where you basically are doing, you guys have these characters and you're going to progress them all the way through to the end and you're like beat the game? Or is it like...
No, it's much like the base game where like you're going through each act as you move up that little map.
Yeah.
And there's a boss at the end of each act. Once we beat Act 3, we will like unlock new cards and stuff for our characters. And then there's like the whole Act 4 thing that the video game does to like unlock.
But it's like,
cool.
it's literally a roguelike where you can swap characters after you lose or complete the run. And then start building up a new character for that run.
That's cool.
It is currently sitting at an 8.8 on Board Game Geek with 2.6 thousand ratings. That is the rank 320 overall.
Ooh.
That's
Probably just needs
impressive.
more ratings for
Probably so.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it new?
Yeah. Quite new.
I don't know when did it actually come out?
I mean, I only got it a couple months ago, I think.
Oh, and you were definitely one of the first backers on Kickstarter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I just saw, I mean, it must have just got fulfilled completely not that long ago because I'd started seeing articles and videos and stuff like that pop up about it. Like a month or two ago. So.
Cool game. Very cool. Worth a try. Especially since there's no other co-op deck building games that you could play either in person or online with friends. So I might want to try that one out, Jake. It's good. Good game.
Yeah. Next time around in KC. Load it up.
Load it up.
We'll do it
All right,
between...
We'll just like sit around a table with 4 laptops and play ATO, staring at each other.
Gosh.
I mean, that's definitely an option.
God, Alex, that takes me back to when we were on our way to our first PAX and we were sitting on the train trying to play Dota on our laptops in the cafe car across from each other, being so antisocial.
We had a problem.
Yeah, we did. We were addicted to Dota.
We
man.
also went into the PC free play area at that PAX and played a game of Dota.
Yeah, we did.
That is too far, man.
Yep.
We didn't have all you gents to entertain us, so it was just us two.
Too far.
That's true. That's true. 2 quick notes in video games. Black Myth Wukong has it broken some records, or is it just like approaching that number?
I guess it's broken the record for single player games.
For single player.
Concurrent players on Steam. It hit second place overall for all-time peak numbers, and it actually has been slightly breaking its own record every day. So currently we're sitting at 2.4 million concurrent 24-hour peak, which is also the all-time peak. Which is a crazy number. What is the next single player? I think it's Cyberpunk, which crested over 1 million. And then Elden Ring just below 1 million on this list. So,
I mean, the reviews on their Steam page right now, 256,000 reviews. It's overwhelmingly positive.
yeah. So what's interesting about this game is if you look at that number and then you scroll down to the reviews section and then highlight languages, you will see your language reviews. There's only about 15,000 of them.
Interesting.
Yeah.
This game is absolutely massive in China, it would seem.
I had a feeling when I heard those numbers, I was like, I don't think that's in the US mainly.
Yeah, no.
It's crazy. There's also, if you read through a bunch of the reviews, there's some clearly Chinese people that are like, yeah, I'm Chinese, but I wanted to leave this in English so I could talk to the American people. I'm so proud that we're finally releasing games of this quality and caliber. Like we can finally enter the AAA space. It's so exciting. So they're very, very proud of this achievement, I think. And you know, everything that I've heard from the non-Chinese side of things is actually, it's pretty awesome. So
is this Game Science's first game?
Yeah.
Wow.
Their very first game. Out of nowhere.
This is an ambitious first game. And I mean, everything I've seen looks beautiful.
Yeah,
have you played any of it?
I have played a little bit of it.
Okay.
It is quite good so far.
Nice.
It is, as you'll hear elsewhere, not terribly soulsy. It is very action, like a third-person action game.
I've heard it more compared to God of War.
God of War is, yeah, closer.
The new God of War or the old God of War?
I haven't played the old ones.
New God of War.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it has like all the graphical bells and whistles you can want. It's kind of a new standard for graphics. They've got their ray tracing mode. They call it, quote, like full ray tracing. People looked at that and it's actually like, it's full path tracing, which is what most people would call it. So all the light sources in the game are path traced and is very hard to run on the system.
I am sure it is.
Even if you don't use that setting, the base setting uses Lumen, which is Unreal Engine's software-based ray tracing stuff. So, I mean, that performs much better, but still, it's going to be a hard game to run. They put out a benchmark tool for this game before it launched, which more games should do that.
I feel like the benchmark tool is almost setting records. How many people were using it?
It was
insane.
High on like the top concurrent players at one point, and I was like, that's crazy, because you launch this thing for like 5 minutes and see what it does, and then you close it. So
weird.
why is it that high?
Cool.
But yeah, it seems like it's doing really well. I can't wait to check it out.
Good.
Sounds like my type of game.
The other note in video games is Hunt Showdown 2's update, which is pretty massive.
Yeah, so that's a joke. It's not actually Hunt Showdown 2.
Yeah. That's what people are calling it, though, essentially, right? Because it's like a complete rebuild of Hunt Showdown, right?
Yeah, it's essentially what Overwatch did when they.
They lied about adding PvE content. That's what they're doing. That's fun.
So it's when they went from Overwatch 1 to Overwatch 2. They did a name change, but they didn't do a new game. Did a couple updates. Anyways, Hunt Showdown is now Hunt Showdown 1896. That's the name. There's a couple things here in this article that I pulled up. 10 things to highlight on this new update, which there's actually an incredible read that you can go look at. If any of you own Hunt Showdown, you can find the August 15th major update. It is a long read. So in these 10 things, one of them is new map. So they added a new map. It's a different biome. It's more mountainous. Lots of elevation, verticality, etc. They added new animals. So instead of the horses lying around, there's cows lying around now. And also instead of crows, there are bats. And so if you get near them, I think the cow makes a sound or the bats fly off, showing that that's where you are. The game engine itself has been updated. So one of these things says on console, this means Hunt runs at 60 frames per second at 4K with consistency, which is pretty cool. And then it's CryEngine 5.11, I think is what they're running on. Increases gameplay smoothness on consoles. There are some performance problems on PC currently, but obviously they're gonna fix that. I've seen Hunt's team be very diligent about their updates and community notes and all sorts of stuff like that. New weapons and ammo, so not really sure what that means, but there's different ammos that you can use, like incendiary rounds and velocity rounds, stuff like that. So I'm curious to see what new stuff they got going on there. New tools. So there's a bear trap that you can put down. There used to be bear traps you could pick up at various different locations in place, but I guess this is just one that you can buy and just run in your kit. The bullet drop and damage multipliers have been changed, so that's kind of cool. Updated UI. Always cool to get a refresh on the UI, especially on this one. I always thought the UI was kind of but we'll see how that pans out. I think the coolest of all the updates is the speed of sound. So if you are a sniper, your bullet sound travels at the speed of sound rather than as soon as you pull the trigger. So you as the person getting sniped at might hear the bullet first and then the shot. So that's interesting. I wonder how that actually works. They've always been impeccable at sound design. I think that's like one of the best games I've ever played, with like foot direction and the crunches of leaves and all sorts of stuff. So like having it be you see the bullet land first and then you hear the shot, that's gonna be interesting. Down hunters changed. So like anytime you go down in a team fight, you used to have like a very long time where you could kind of reposition, kind of take your time to revive your teammates. They wanted to pick up the pace a little bit, so they've made it to where down hunters die a little faster. And then obviously new enemies, which is pretty cool. And that's all the highlights for what's going down. Like I said, if you have the game though, go to the August 15th update. It's a hefty read. So
yeah, and it's one of 3. It looks like.
Yeah.
Because they have a part 2 and a part 3, because they just literally could not fix all of or fit everything on one post.
It is pretty crazy. Also, I haven't updated it yet, so I think I'm looking at a 60 gigabyte update pretty much.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. We need to play some more of that.
I do want to try that out.
All right. You know what it's time for?
Big Gig.
Immaculate Gauntlet.
Whipple. Every once in a while, I press one of these buttons. It's like, wait, what did he want to do? The system thinks for a minute.
That's me the entire workday.
All right, let's talk a little bit about what have we been playing lately. We're going to start with group games. 4 of us have been playing Rogue Trader, Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader. Yep. What its actual title is?
Yep. There's a colon involved.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I forgot the colon.
Of course.
Where's the colon at though? Is it
Warhammer 40
40k
000 Rogue Trader?
That would be excellent.
Okay. Yeah. I think we were wanting to play something a little bit along the veins of after finishing Baldur's Gate 3, we're like, we need something.
We need a nice light CRPG.
Yeah.
What do you mean something? You just play Baldur's Gate 3 again.
Literally, I think we had that conversation. It was like, let's take a break. Let's do at least something else first.
Yeah.
But it's the newest game by Owlcat, the team that made Pathfinder Kingmaker and Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous. So this is their first non-Pathfinder game. And I have been surprised by how good it is. Like, I like the last 2 games. But this one, I feel like is a pretty big step up, just in terms of, like, polish.
Yeah, I mean, we've only played a few hours of it, but already it feels much more well-made than, at least Pathfinder Kingmaker. Probably also Wrath of the Righteous.
Kingmaker was incredibly janky.
Yes.
Rather Righteous was a lot better, way better than Kingmaker, but still felt very janky. I think it helps that this is the first game they've made that is turn-based, and there is no real-time option. It is turn-based, 100%.
Yeah, I think that helps a
They
lot.
finally caved.
Mhm. Yeah, because
I
they,
don't know what took them
they
so long.
added
It's-
like a, what do you call it, like a hybrid mode for Rather Righteous where you could toggle it on and off. And so a lot of times turn-based mode just felt really slow because you're doing fights that were designed for real time.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, I don't know. I never thought it was a great solution. But now it can just be turn-based, which is great.
It has a really cool mechanic that kind of adds on to the turn-based gameplay where when you select to move somewhere, it first places a hologram of your character there,
Mm-hmm.
and you can, target whatever ability you want to use from there and see exactly how it's going to affect who it's going to be able to hit, etc. And then you can just undo your hologram and decide you want to pop your hologram somewhere else to see what it looks like from that perspective. There's none of that clicking somewhere to move somewhere and being like, well, now I can't hit any of these people
Mm-hmm.
that I thought I'd be able to from here.
Yeah.
And it makes it so much smoother to take your turn.
Yeah, it's a huge quality of life, in my opinion. I always hate in those games, I feel like you're like, oh, I'll get the flank on them, and you go there and you're like, oh, actually, I can't quite see around the corner, apparently. So I just wasted my turn, and now I'm out in the open, I'm gonna definitely die. Whoops.
Yep. I just really like the lore of this game. That's where I'm at. Just the mechanic where they're just like, they give you an entire encyclopedia of stuff and you can mouse over words that are highlighted and read about this absolute nonsense that they've included in the game that is part of the Warhammer 40k universe. Wow. There is some depth to that
The
universe, let me
Warhammer-
tell you.
40k universe is enormous, super edgy, and just wild. There's so much stuff going on in that universe.
How did you describe the feeling of this game, Caleb? Like a
I don't remember.
really like angsty 14-year-old boy
Oh,
or something
yeah.
like that.
Yeah, it has that feel to it, the universe.
Because it's
for sure.
hardcore and cool.
hey, I'm there for it.
It's cool, don't get me wrong.
If you looked into this game when it came out close to a year ago and saw everybody complaining about tons of bugs and everything like that, it seems like they've smoothed a lot of that over.
Yeah.
I know co-op at launch was unplayable, like it just didn't work.
Great.
Now it's like a well-oiled machine. Just works exactly the way you expect it to.
Correct.
We do have some issues with how they implemented it, but
It's so fucking
it's at least
stupid.
working.
It's weird.
It
the way
does
they implemented
work,
it, for sure.
But it's like we load in, it's like, okay, great, let's all just hop in a lobby and we'll start playing. And it's like, that's not how this works. One player starts a game, and then you get your character and no other characters. So you can have friends and they can watch you play. And as you unlock NPC, like, other companions, they can take control of those companions. But you do need to get far enough along in the prologue to unlock them before they can play.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
then,
it
like
took
when
us
you
like
look up
2.5 hours to get
It took a long
3
time.
characters.
when you look
Mhm.
up their article
Me
about
too.
playing co-op, their solutions are like, yeah, you can just spectate for a while, or just jump in when the characters are available. And I'm like, what do you mean just jump in when characters are available? Like I'm gonna
No
miss
idea
the
what's going
entire
on.
start of the story, not know
Okay,
anything that's happening.
Explain the story to me right now, Alex. Up
Okay,
to
well,
the current
No
spot we're at.
spoilers. We can't spoil everything.
Yeah.
Gosh.
We're
Sure.
2 hours in, and I don't understand it. We're on a
Really?
spaceship. We're the descendant of the rogue trader, who's this lady. She's the rogue trader.
Mhm.
And then you get betrayed 5 times, and you gotta shoot everyone.
Yep.
That's about it.
Yep.
And
I
Mort
think
dies. Rip Mort.
Mort does
Mort.
die somehow.
Man,
Oh, and there's
talk about
a-
spoilers.
There's an operative character who is voiced by the most dramatic woman who has ever lived.
And it's phenomenal.
I say that, I'm not trying to give her shit. She does a great job. But, like, if her effort is a 10, everyone else is at, like, a 4.
Yeah.
Like, she is really just leaving it all out there, and it feels like everyone else is like, alright, yeah, what's my character? Okay, sure. I'll read the lines.
Speaking of voice acting, they don't voice any of the narration parts,
Yes.
Yeah.
and they
So
don't
weird.
leave you time to read them
Mhm.
while
Yeah, so
voicing
it'll
the
be
other
like-
sections.
You know, Steve walks up. He has a drink in his hand. He sidles up to you coldly, and then he says, "Hi, how's it going?" But as soon as that text appears, the guy just goes, "Hi, how you doing? How's it going?" And so you like see that, and you're like, "What just happened?"
It's
The
jarring.
worst part is when there's like dialogue, some narration, and more dialogue, because it just reads the dialogue and then continues with the more dialogue.
Yeah.
You just try to like speed read the narration part. You're like, what?
I tried that
Exactly.
one time and I realized that was not going to be a possibility for
Yeah.
this
Yeah,
game.
yeah.
Wrath of Righteous has the same issue.
You'll be happy to hear there's this interview with one of the lead devs. I don't know who it is. I don't know how to pronounce that name. I'm not going to try. It's a main dev from this game, an Owlcat. Fairly recent, and it talks about voicing, and he says, we made all our games with partial voiceover because 1, it's expensive, and 2, it makes the development process extremely difficult, especially when you have over 1 million words. Looking at Baldur's Gate 3, you understand it's becoming a must-have feature, which doesn't guarantee you success, but if you don't meet the bar, your game is considered one that's no longer fits into the right category. So it looks like we'll have to do full voiceover for our next games.
Okay.
So
I mean, I can sympathize.
Yeah.
I'm here for full voiceover when they do Starfinder Dead Sons. Let's do it. Let's do it.
You think we could give him the rights to Discord and Signal?
Yeah,
True.
totally. I did want to say I looked up the how long to beat for this game.
Mhm.
Guys,
It's longer
Buckle
than
up.
BG3, right?
main plus extras is 102 hours.
Good, just a nice snacky
Wasn't
light
as long as I was
RPG
expecting.
before our
Yeah.
next Baldur's Gate 3 playthrough. I love it.
Yep.
How long did Baldur's Gate 3 take us? It took us longer than that, didn't it?
90, right?
Oh,
Yeah, it was under 100.
90?
Yeah, just imagine if there was 2 towers.
Yeah, Act 1 was 35 hours, Act 2 was 21 hours, and Act 3 was 46 hours. So,
Man,
Little
and
over-
we
almost
skipped a lot
100
of stuff in
exactly.
Baldur's Gate 3 as well.
That's true.
no dinosaurs.
No dinosaurs. We skipped that one part
No,
in
we
the
met the
Underdark.
dinosaur. We met one dinosaur.
Barely.
Just one.
Did we meet the dinosaurs? I don't remember dinosaurs at all.
There was definitely a dinosaur at the circus.
He's making that up. He saw
Yeah,
it
I
in
think
a
he's
single
making it
player.
up. 100%. Fake news.
I don't remember that.
I've talked to a dinosaur at a circus. I assumed we did. Maybe I
I'm
did
pretty
that
sure
in
you did
single
that
player
in-
games.
He probably
single
ran
player
up on his own. We were like, "Hey, what you doing?" He's like, "Oh, nothing important. Just talking to dinosaurs."
Huh.
By the way, speaking of Baldur's Gate, not to get off topic, but did you guys see they're about to have their huge update in September that's going to include like brand new endings for all of the like Dark
Evil.
Urge and any of the
Yeah.
evil campaigns. Plus, they're doing full mod support for everything.
I thought they were done updating this game.
Yeah, no
Right.
kidding.
Apparently not. And they've said that this is not their last update. It's their last like
fuck?
major update, but they're still going to plan on doing some like quality of life adjustments here and there.
Man,
They've been
I-
talking
I-
about the mod tools for forever, so at least that
Yeah.
had to happen at some point.
This and the other thing is like this one still does not include crossplay, which they're still apparently
Oh.
working on.
Oh, they still don't have crossplay.
Yeah. The coolest part about this mod I think is that they added a split screen for couch co-op.
oh, nice.
Yeah, and so I mean really cool
Man, it'd
idea.
be tough to play without split screen couch co-op.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It looks really neat too. I mean, I don't know.
I think they
Not
showed
that
it's dynamic, right? Like if you're close enough together, it's one screen.
Correct.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's nice.
It's
That's
really
fun.
neat. I cannot imagine. I don't know that I would ever be in a situation where I'd be playing couch co-op Baldur's Gate 3, but the fact that it exists in this game just
Nope.
makes it more accessible, and I like that. So.
That's not what you and Janae do
Yeah,
weeknights.
couch co-op Baldur's Gate 3. You know,
Yeah.
I was like, out of all the games I could convince Janae to play with me, maybe Baldur's Gate's a good intro.
I mean,
Hanging out in
a
the
lot of
living
people
room.
who don't play a lot of games played Baldur's Gate 3.
That is
Like, a
true.
lot of people.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. Anyway, Rogue Trader, which is the game we were talking about.
Yes.
Solid game. We're gonna play some more of it, stream some of it, but I don't know. I've had a fun time with it already. Other than just what we talked about, the primary issue of actually getting to your playable character. Other than that, it's a lot to digest, I think, and it's going to take us a while to figure out the core mechanics of the system and builds and how to like actually progress your character. But other than that, the world seems just bizarro. The lore seems crazy, and I feel like it's in space. And at one point, I saw there was a feat about starship battles, and so I am
Yeah.
freaking on board.
Hmm.
I'm off board.
We'll use the revised rule set for that.
Mm-hmm.
You guys have also been playing some, Jake and Alex, you've been playing some 2K, or I should say, Jake, you've been playing some 2KO.
Yeah, I've
2XKO.
been playing 2XKO and dragging along a partner as well.
Yeah. How's that been going for you? I mean, probably exhausting, but also
It's
unique.
tiring, but
Yeah.
that game's actually really fun.
It's a heavy burden to carry.
Yeah, it's true.
I
Yeah.
did okay, except for the basically the last fight that we did. I think I did pretty good besides that one matchup. I had
Did
no
Jake keep
handle on
asking,
that guy.
You need to swap? You need to swap?
No, he was point in that match. So basically how it would go was if we won, he basically just stayed in the entire time and killed them himself. And if we lost, he would eventually die and then I would go in and die.
Nice. You contributed.
Yeah. We did win
I
a
did
couple
my
rounds
part.
with me, but
We honestly we did way better than I thought we would. I thought we were gonna get absolutely
Just overall?
clowned on. Yeah,
yeah.
like I
the,
thought it was gonna be a bloodbath.
the first night I think we lost our first round because, we're feeling stuff out. But after a little bit, we kind of hit our groove and we were like winning. And then we fought this one dude that was clearly much worse than us. And he would not stop rematching. We were like, we're just going to keep rematching him until he quits. And he wouldn't quit. So eventually we had to quit.
I think we played him like 10 times in a row, and we beat him every time.
I was like,
Wow.
how is this fun, guy? Go find a new opponent.
Yeah, just leave.
Now,
You're not getting better.
this game is a fighting game that you play co-op, and
You
like
can play it co-op.
Oh, you can play. You don't have
So,
to. You can. Okay,
Yes. Think of it like, well, okay, you didn't play any of the fighting games with us.
go ahead. I've seen how
Um,
like when you swap to another character, like in Blaze
Yes.
Blue, right? Because you can just swap
Right.
to a different
Blaze Blue
character.
Cross Tag Battle works exactly like that. You pick two characters, and so you only play one at a time, but you can push like an assist button where they'll run in, they'll like do a little move, and then you can also push a button to switch characters. And what's cool about that single player is that you can kind of hit him a bunch with one character and then tag in the other character to kind of like do another combo to extend it even further, and you end up with like these really big flashy combos where you like switch back and forth a whole bunch. But what's cool about this, and it's something I'm probably going to be wrong saying no other game does this, there's no other game I'm aware of that does it like this. But what's been really fun is that you can play it where like I am character 1 and Alex is character 2. So like I'm fighting and he can push a button to come in and do the assist, and then I can push a button to tag him in. And so that way he can just, now he's fighting
Die.
and I'm resting and I can regain some health.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we'll get called out saying no other game can do it, but none of the major games, none of the big ones
Yes.
Right,
do
the
it.
big
Yeah.
fighters.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing that I can think of has a system like that. And it's so much fun to be able to like play off of each other. You don't have to get mad at each other like for like fighting each other and over and like
Mm-hmm.
if you get like a losing streak or something, you don't feel like as bad because you're doing it together.
Mm-hmm.
Aw,
Aw, friendship.
I know, right?
doing it together.
I feel like
And
them being able to do the assists and stuff offloads so much like
It
awareness
does.
you have to have while you're
Oh
playing.
my gosh.
Yeah.
It also makes it way harder to use it effectively, I think.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what I was about to say. We definitely need to like. I feel like I need to learn more because I don't even know when a good time is to call an assist, let alone when a good time when Alex is playing is to call in an assist.
Like if we could ever, so there's a couple of ways you can tag out in this game. You can hold the tag button and it's just like a raw tag. Your character just replaces the other character standing in
you just
place. Nothing
switch.
happens. The other ways you can do it is if you tap the tag button, you do like an uppercut launcher, and then the other character comes in from off screen and attacks in the air. And that feels like it's really easy for the other character to come in and actually do some damage and like get a decent combo off because there's like this whole animation that happens. You're kind of aware of what's going on. You can kind of just hit buttons in the air and things happen. But in order for that to work, you have to actually land that attack. So we basically never did that because we couldn't do it reliably. And then the third way to switch is if you call an assist for yourself, anytime you're on screen, the other person can press the tag button and it'll swap. So that's the main way we swapped was like I would call my assistant, I would be rushing towards the other character, and then Jake would be like, all right, I'm just going to swap you. And then it would be like, whoop, and then I would have control.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It makes that noise. It was really
Yeah.
good.
The problem with that is like the other guy also still has control of their character while that's happening. If you do the uppercut thing, they don't have control because they're in the middle of a combo. If you just tag out while the assist's happening, a lot of times it'd be like, I'm swapping you. Oh, sorry, you're getting comboed right now.
Sorry, you're gonna die now. Yeah, we
Hopefully you don't lose too much of your
improve
health.
on that.
Yeah. So
Yeah, we're very bad at that.
there's actually a fourth way you can swap. You can do a burst. And then while the character's on screen after burst, you can swap. So burst is like a anti-combo move. You have this meter that builds up. And then once it's full, the person that's not playing can press the burst button, which is actually a combo of buttons, but for
Whatever.
the burst button. And then it just does like this green like explosion and knocks the other person off of you. So it's just a get off of me button, resets back to neutral. Good way to stop Ari from comboing you endlessly until you die.
Frickin' Ari. Can we talk about Ari? Ari's fucking stupid. Okay, like I'm bad at fighting games, so I don't want to talk about like balance because I'm gonna be wrong. But Ari, I swear to God, it's like she's on the far end of the screen and she hits me with like the corner of one move, and it's like, okay, there's 75% of my health bar. It's gone.
Yeah.
She zooms in, juggles me up in the air, resets, bounces me off the ground, combos me again. It's just like I don't know what to do other than just not get hit ever.
It seems like so much of her stuff she throws at you is so safe as well. Like I would try to look for openings in between stuff she was throwing to try to get in, and it's just like, oh, she was a mile away, so
Yeah.
you can't touch her.
She's annoying. I didn't like her.
Feels like a problem that only exists for us, maybe because we don't know how to deal with it.
I mean, probably. That's the thing with, like, not being very good at fighting games. Something happens, I'm like, well, that's bullshit. And it's like, well, I also don't have any idea what I would do about it.
Like, the people that are good at the game that I heard talking about why Ari's good is not because of any of that. It's because her assist was super busted.
Yeah.
It's the only assist in the game that can hit on the ground.
It's also projectile. It seems really strong.
Yeah. Things I liked about this, though, like the simple inputs made it to where I could just go into training and just mess around and figure out a combo on my own and then practice it. And then I was actually able to use it in fights against real people, which I don't think has ever happened in any other fighting game that I've tried.
Yeah, certainly not for me.
Even if I've like practiced a combo and like I used to try to practice combos in like Dragon Ball FighterZ when I thought I was going to get really into that. And I never was able to do it in a real situation, only in training. So it just feels really cool to be able to pull that stuff off. And like the fact that a lot of what you learn while you're doing that translates to other characters as well. Makes it all like really easy to pick up, because like basic attack strings just work across all the characters.
Yeah, I think every character has if you just go light attack, medium attack, heavy attack, that's a combo. And then they all have there's a universal launcher, so if you hold down, forward, and heavy, you're going to kick them up into the air, and you can continue the combo that way. It's very approachable.
That's what I was going to say. Alex was talking about, like, if I'm going to jump into a fighting game, this is actually probably a good one to attempt because of how approachable it is, and because you have another person you're playing with.
That's true.
So, I mean, if all else fails, you swap.
It has an auto combo system too. Neither of us used it, but basically you can just like equip something where it's like, okay, I don't even want to deal with combos at all. I'm just gonna match the light attack button. It's like, okay, if you mash light attack, we'll do a combo for you. If you mash medium, we'll do a different combo.
Yeah. Really cool.
Yeah.
Now, do you guys both play with whatever the heck those things are called?
Hitbox.
Yeah, leverless. Yes,
yeah, we both did.
I tried what do you call that? Like an arcade stick for a while, but it never clicked for me. I need buttons.
I really liked the feel of the hitbox in fighting games for some reason. Usually it's much easier to use. Hitbox. Well, first of all, yeah, it's mine is sick, custom made. But usually in fighting games you're doing motion inputs, and the hitbox makes those way easier to like execute. This game doesn't have any of those, so I feel like you could also just play it on a pad and it would be very close in terms of ease of control. It actually almost, with how many buttons there are, it almost feels like it's built for pad. Because it's got like light, medium, heavy, special 1, special 2, and then also you kind of want dash and tag on something. So it starts getting a lot to handle when it's just like a series of buttons laid out on a flat surface. I feel like the triggers and stuff like that could be good for like tag and dash and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Cool. Chad, let's move on to you. What have you been playing lately?
Yeah, so for purposes of this podcast, and because the last couple of times I've been on, I've just been like, yeah, Destiny. I've decided to try some new games. Spectre Divide was one of them.
Yeah, I'm mad. I didn't get an invite. What the heck?
You didn't get an invite at all?
No, but by you. I've been waiting to try to play this game.
Don't worry, you wouldn't have liked it.
Oh my gosh. You saying I'm bad?
I'm not saying you're bad. I'm saying just listen to what I have to say about it. So the concept is cool, and I think I need more time with it, but I think the movement is just, like in all of the tactical shooters, Valorant, CSGO, etc., it's just so slow. You're just like snail's pace walking around the map, and then what's really interesting about this one is everybody's just kind of like, when you get into a battle, everybody's just strafing and shooting at each other, and it just looks comical because if both parties have bad aim, you're just snail's pace strafing back and forth, missing shots, and it looks like way worse than like Valorant and CSGO, where you like kind of like do that. If you're going to the left, you stop for a second and shoot, and then you go to the right, stop, and then shoot. So it's like you're just missing constantly on like both sides. A big complaint that I have, and maybe it's just the people that I versed were excellent. The sniper seems to not have any flinch when you're shooting at them. So if you hit a couple shots and they have the sniper on you, you're dead. Also, it feels very odd. It's such a unique game because it feels so odd that you're like, you either die or you've killed somebody, but then like that same corner gets wrapped around by like the same person you just killed. They know exactly where you are. Like, if you don't rotate fast enough, like you're just having a second deja vu encounter kind of thing. It's interesting. It's cool that like when you're on the map, you can like click before the borders to like move your character, so you don't have to walk out to point A or point B. But I also think that makes it to where the maps are large, and then you're walking so slow. So if your point B character dies and you're on point A, now you have to take forever to walk over to point B, and then like by that point that you get there, they've already set up, know where you're coming from, and you're getting killed. I did only play one match. On my team, I had 15 kills. There was somebody on my team who had 3 kills who left. Then there was somebody on my team who had like 0 kills, stayed in the game all the way up until like a certain point. I think it's the halftime divide, and they left. So essentially, I was just versing the enemy team myself with my 2 characters, like the entire match. It seems like the abilities. What's that?
You won, right?
Oh, absolutely not. It seems like the abilities are pretty unique and cool. One of them that I saw that I think I was using was like a dart that you throw at a wall, and then if you switch from your A person to your B person across a map, the ping will just go through the entire map, like to you, to where you can like see, like if they're just like in the middle of that ping from where you throw it to your second character, you can actually see that they're there. They ping for a second, and you like know where the enemy is. There is wallbang mechanics. There are grenades. I think maybe on specific characters. I had a heal, so I could like throw on the ground, which seemed cool. Buying the buy phase had like 3 different options at the front, which was just like, it looked like your League of Legends just like quick buy, recommended, whatever. So it just gave you like what most people buy. And then there was like the basic buy, the intermediate buy, and then the large buy, to where like if you had like 5,000 coin or whatever, You can, have the shield, the AR, the shotgun, etc. It was interesting. I'll be excited for it to come out to give it another go, but I think my issue with those games is, once again, it's just the speed. I'm playing a lot of Crucible currently, and the movement in Crucible is just like super fluid. The gunplay is super fluid, and like I'm sliding around corners, shooting people. But then I come to this game, and it's like tiptoeing around corners, taking shots. The cool thing is that there is no gun spray mechanic. So it literally at the beginning tells you in the tutorial, hey, we encourage you to move while you're shooting, and aim down sights. It's going to go exactly where that red dot is, which is probably for the best, because if people don't read up on it, then they're going to be like, oh, this is Valorant and CSGO. I need to, pattern control. But no, it's just, it is where it is. It shoots where it shoots.
Is there no bloom at all on
there's
auto
recoil.
weapons?
So like
Recoil,
PUBG or something like that. There is that recoil that you can kind of pull down on and maybe pull right or left or something, but it pretty much goes the same way every single time.
Yeah, I think they said the recoil is always consistent, so you can learn it.
Yeah. The recoil just seemed way better than like when you're walking and your bullets are going everywhere, like in CSGO and Valorant. But yeah, Spectre Divide. Another game that I am currently in the beta, which I think it is currently still going on. So Alex, if you would like to play, we can try it.
Yeah.
Faster mechanics.
So much faster.
More on everything's faster in it. Splitgate 2, which is honestly, it seems pretty freaking polished right now. It's in their alpha state. A couple things, I had a couple things written down while I was playing it. I noticed that your respawns are manipulated by teammates getting kills. So I think they played Rebirth or something in Warzone and were like, hey, let's implement that into this game. So you have 11 seconds that you're about to, you die, you have 11 seconds and you'll respawn. And then it says enemy killed, and it takes away 3 seconds, and you're like spawning faster.
Ooh.
Interesting mechanic. There's a couple abilities, which, 3 different classes currently in the game. The Eros has a rush ability, which your movement and reload speed is boosted, plus a one-time health boost. You can also, this isn't an ability, but it's like a gadget. You can have like a stem, so you can like heal yourself, and it refills. A team trait, which I believe is a passive for the Eros, is faster ability cooldown for you and your teammates. Would make sense
Team
that it's a
traits are
passive.
cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Meridian is another character. Has hyper sight, briefly reveals enemies through walls for you and your teammates. And the team trait is faster health regeneration for you and your teammates. So I'm really assuming that the team traits are passives. It sounds like it.
Yeah.
Abarask is the last one. He has a smart wall, so it's a transparent barrier. So essentially like the barrier that you throw down as a Titan, except for you can shoot through it. Enemies cannot.
Nice. Imagine.
And then the team trait is stockpile. Spawn in with extra reserve ammo for you and your teammates. So that's kind of cool. You actually have like different things going on, except for instead of just gun, portal, go.
What are the team sizes?
I think it's 4v4.
4v4, so you have one
3
repeat,
characters.
three characters, 4 in a team. That makes
Yep,
sense.
Yep, checks out.
Yeah, I think it was
They're probably
4v4.
working on a 4th. Fine.
Yeah, well, they're probably working on more in the back. I mean, this is the alpha.
Sure,
they probably
it's
had
alpha.
that made up.
Are these? They're basically just light, medium, heavy. Yeah, I'm guessing.
It seems like it, yeah.
Do they have different health values?
I did not look that deep into it. We should play more and talk about it in the next podcast. But I will say that there are 2 other things that I thought were really, really cool. Well, I guess one, because I'd already said the gameplay in alpha feels polished. So the second thing, though, is the portals are 1 button by default. So you hit E, and that does a yellow portal. You look at a wall, you hit E, that's the purple portal. And so it just keeps shifting back and forth, which did not happen in the OG game. I remember specifically binding forward mouse to left portal, forward mouse wheel, and back mouse wheel to right portal, which you can still do. You are allowed to, in the keybinds, very customizable, do the rotation of basically left and right portals on 2 different keybinds. you can also have all of that at the same time. So you can have E as your rotating portals, and then forward mouse wheel as left, back mouse wheel as right. Just, whatever you want to do in the moment. Another thing is, if you're using the one key, the reason I went in to see if, I could do the mouse wheeling and change the keybinds is because I had a portal behind somebody and I knew it was the yellow portal, so it was the right portal, and the purple portal was next to me. I wanted to keep that right portal back there, but I knew the next portal I was throwing was going to be that yellow portal. And so I was like, how, like, if it's a one button key, like, that's going to ruin my flow of, like, I want this portal to be specific to where I can get from if you hit X, that's the keybind to change from left to right portal flow with the one keybind. So it's you'll see it rotating back and forth in the bottom right hand corner of your screen. It'll highlight yellow or orange. But then if you hit X, you can rotate it yourself before throwing a portal to whichever portal you want to throw.
Interesting.
It's yeah. I mean, I was thinking to myself when they were coming out with Splitgate 2, like, what could they realistically do to, one, close the skill gap, because that was a huge issue.
Yeah.
And then two, like, what changes could they realistically make to, like, make this a game anybody would want to pick up again, because Splitgate kind of already died.
What is the game mode? Is it just TDM?
It's just, well, the one I played was like capture the, or King of the Hill or whatever, like capture the zone.
Okay.
I think it specifically was capture the zone. Once that zone was captured, a new zone would appear.
Right. Okay.
And then you'd run to the next zone, capture that. There was no timer. There was no, like, staying in that, zone for a while. Very fast paced. One of the things that I think they've manipulated is, back in the OG, were all of these routes where, like, for instance, if you guys remember back when we played in the Extra Life, I was just zipping around in a circle with the oddball. They've kind of taken that ability away with how they've laid the maps out. So you can throw a couple portals, but then they don't have another path after that. Like, 3 chain is pretty much the max. Maybe it's just a map I played on, but it seems like they kind of wanted to not have so many just portal chains happening, and maybe that, once again, is closing the skill gap. But
I also probably want it to be more brawly too, right? Like, instead of somebody just zipping around and nobody can catch them because they're just, specifically better at portaling.
Yeah.
Well, let's just make it a gunfight then.
Yep. It seems like stepping in and out of portals is a little bit more fluid too. Yeah, it's just all around. Oh, one of the coolest things is, if you remember playing it back at Extra Life, if somebody had a portal on the wall and it was an enemy portal, you couldn't put your portal anywhere on that wall, because that, like, it was big enough for basically just the enemy portal, and the portal like took up the middle or whatever. Something that they put in the system is, if there's an enemy portal on the wall and you want to put a portal there, it will move the enemy portal slightly to where your portal can also be there. And now both portals are on the wall. It doesn't close the enemy portal. It just kind of shifts it to, like, fit into that grid, which I think is super cool, because that would be, like, the worst kind of thing where you'd have to throw your grenade first to close the enemy portal, then throw your portal, and now you can't go through the enemy portal if you wanted to, so. Anyways, Splitgate 2.
Cool.
Kind of excited. It's an alpha. It feels polished. Some polished games coming out.
Yeah. Alex.
Speaking of polished games, 9 Souls. Exceptionally polished game. Wonderful experience. I finished it.
Nice.
It is really just such an awesome game. I really take issue with the final boss, though. It's my big issue with it. Final boss almost ruined the game for me. Final boss is so much more difficult than anything else in the game, to the point that I feel like it doesn't make sense in design wise to have that boss at that stage. I feel like it should be some cool optional battle maybe, but, like, at the point I was where I was like, okay, I just want to see, at this point I just want to see the end of the story real quick. I'm done fighting this boss, and there was nothing, you couldn't do anything about it. You just had to beat him. And then like your other option is, there is accessibility options in the game, and there is difficulty options in the game that you could go turn on. So you could turn on story mode and go beat the final boss, but you've beaten literally everything else in the game on standard mode. And then there's just this one enemy that's like so much more difficult for no reason. It bothers me. I don't know. Plus there's like achievements in the game for beating it on standard. And I feel like you go switch to story at the end and like ruin that achievement. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
It
think of your
felt
gamer
bad.
score.
I know. It just felt bad. It felt bad to me. Like even if the game was longer and worked more up to that difficulty level, I could see being like less annoyed with the fight, because over time it would be getting harder and harder. And then I'd be like, okay, I understand the direction the game is going. Maybe I'm not good enough for this, or maybe I should think about switching a difficulty, or I don't know, at some point like that. But having it literally just be the last enemy you fight is that difficult bothered me.
It is a
did beat
pretty
him, though, right?
massive step up.
I did. But
Oh,
even
what
when
you
I beat them,
complain
even when I beat her, it took forever, first of all. And then even when I beat her, it was like a thank God that's over, not like a, oh yeah, that was a sick fight.
I see.
That's not the way you want the final boss to go in a game.
No.
Probably not.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's like, it took me a long time. She has like multiple phases, and like some of the stuff she does later, you're just like, great. Out of nowhere, this bullcrap happens, and you're like, great, this is so stupid.
And the first phase is so hard to get through.
The
that you
first phase is hard to
rarely
get through.
see what's in the
And you
second
have
phase.
To practice anything further in the fight, you have to go through it again every time. It's so stupid. Ugh. Anyway, plus to add insult to injury, that game, it's pretty good about placing you close to bosses, so you don't have to do long runbacks, but all the bosses have elaborate animations to start the fights that you cannot skip. So
Yeah.
seeing that for like the 100th time, you're like, just fight me, you stupid lady. Stop all this flourishing. Yeah, so that annoyed me, but otherwise, insanely good game. Highly recommended.
I love that final boss fight. I think it's so fun. But I can understand the issue of the difficulty increase, because it is huge.
I mean,
And it
Caleb
did take
only
me
saw
way longer to fight.
he only saw the
than-
boss animation twice.
No.
Yeah. And the first time was because
No.
he closed the game so he could see it a second time.
Yeah,
Yes,
okay.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
took me so long to beat that boss.
3 times.
There are many other boss fights in that game that were tough for me to beat, but had the correct difficulty that I felt like I was constantly progressing and constantly learning the moves and getting better, and like didn't actually take me, an age to defeat them. And like I felt really satisfied when ending like a couple of like really, really awesome fights that, like 2 of them in particular that I can think of that are just really excellent. I think were scaled perfectly. And then you get to that lady, man, and she's cool, but also like
So cool.
like invisible attacks that you just have to like know the rhythm for, and like flashing teleports from off screen that come out of nowhere, and it's just a bunch of a grab move that grabs you if you're all the way behind her outside of the hitbox, somehow still grabs you. What is this?
I think that boss fight almost epitomizes pattern recognition, because you have to know everything that she can do.
You have to you just have to feel. You have to feel the entire fight, which
And
is
a
stupid.
lot of the moves. She has a lot of moves that have the same wind up, but they put out a different move. So you gotta be careful about that kind of
The
stuff.
50-50s are so annoying. So annoying. There's one move where it's like, it's in the first phase even, where you either have to stay on the ground and do a powered deflect, or jump in the air and do a deflect. And you cannot do both of those simultaneously. So you have to kind of like feel out what's happening. I eventually figured out that you could jump early, and then if you've realized that it's not that version, you can land fast enough and still deflect, that it was okay. Man, that bothered me. The other game I played through, Bo Path of the Teal Lotus, much shorter game. Same issue. The last boss in this game
Really?
is stupid. I was frustrated with this one too. I don't know, man. It had like 80 phases. I swear. It's so long. You at least can get back healing in this game fairly easily, so it's not the end of the world. But man, that it was starting to bother me too, because all the rest of the bosses I had no problem with in that game, and then the final boss out of nowhere just took me forever. And the final boss is like at the top of this cliff, and you have to like slowly drift up on a wind current every single time you want to try the boss again for like 30 seconds. I was
Heck
like,
yeah.
why? Why?
I feel like
That's
you've
the only
been
thing
bashing your head against the wall a lot lately.
yeah, I know. Besides that, though, delightful game. It's another Metroidvania in the same kind of vein, but like Hollow Knight inspired almost. But it is way more focused on platforming and like the specific mechanic of like pogoing, essentially. It's not even exactly pogoing. It's anytime you hit anything, it resets your jump. So it's not even just below you. It can be like above you, to the side of you, whatever. If you can strike a strikeable thing, then it resets your jump. So there's a lot of platforming that deals around resetting your jump constantly and making it through elaborate like traps and stuff like that.
I think we talked about this last podcast, but the Messenger does the same thing.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is
I
it
remember
like,
you saying that?
are there like White Palace level difficult platforming challenges?
No, unfortunately, there's not. At least I didn't find there might be like some side area I missed or something.
I was gonna say the White Palace is like a super secret area, so
Yeah, I didn't find anything that was that challenging. But it is like the entire game, like it is built around elaborate platforming stuff with some light combat. So a very different vibe from Nine Souls, but the art is lovely. It's not that long. It's like 12 hours long, maybe.
oh, it's not short though.
Yeah.
Oh, this was the studio that was
The one on Patreon.
under, it was under Humble
I think
Bundle.
Patreon.
Under Humble Games, yep.
Yeah.
I had just a really fun time going through. It feels somewhat linear, even though you can kind of explore multiple directions at a time, but it still feels kind of linear. You kind of always know where you should be going. And there's not like that many upgrades to get. Also, it has the issue that some games have where like you can get a bunch of things that you don't necessarily need to use and you end up not using them. So there's like these power-ups that are on like your special attack button. And I basically just use, like I found one I liked and I just used it the entire game. Like there's a bunch of them you can find, but I just used the one that I liked the whole time.
Oh.
So I still highly recommend that one though.
I haven't played any games because I've been playing digest all of Pathfinder Kingmaker's exploration and camping rules sets, and then fully develop a way for us to make it work in our campaign. So that's been me for the past 2 weeks.
Well, don't
Basically
worry.
making a camping video game before Kingmaker.
It is not a camping video game. Thank you very much.
Don't worry. The campaign
plus-
is canceled for the next month now.
I know. Plus you're busy developing entire new game shows for us every week. So
Yeah, no kidding.
I really like making the game shows though. It's fun. Those are very enjoyable. I'm
not even the
only
same
up
game
to-
type.
It's got to be something fresh, you know?
No, it doesn't.
It's got to be something fresh.
We could just do Vigig
Doesn't.
every week. It'd be fun.
Yeah.
I'm only up to 27 scripts and like I think 40 active effects and
My
maybe
God.
another 15 items. Guys,
Jeez.
Campy's gonna be like
So good.
actually interesting now.
We're gonna
I'm
do it
excited.
every night now.
You're gonna
We
be
can.
so mad when we get it next time, and everyone's gonna go, "Man, camping's really boring. Let's just skip it. Let's not camp
Let's just
anymore."
not do
That's
camp.
fine.
Yeah,
ever
we'll just
again.
skip over it.
I have this weird problem where I get really interested in like problem solving something that doesn't really necessarily need to be problem solved. And it will take me down a freaking rabbit trail for like the longest time. I mean, I go to sleep and I'm like, I bet if I implemented that, and that's what I think about as I'm falling asleep. It's insane. I don't know why my brain works that way, but here I am. Anyway, so I haven't been playing anything, but it's fun. I am actually very excited to use it. So that's what I've been doing. Caleb.
I've been playing a couple really, really cool games. The first one is called 1000X Resist. Terrible name.
What an edgy name.
Terrible name. I had seen this mentioned a bunch of places about how good the story is, and that people were like comparing it to Nier Automata, stuff like that. So I got really excited about it, and man, it does not disappoint at all. It has an exceptional story, very compelling narrative. It does play as basically just a walking simulator, which is slightly disappointing. I'm not a huge fan of that genre normally, but man, the story really does carry it all the way through to the end. It's got excellent character arcs, and the story just has so many twists and turns and so many crazy things going on. Man, I was very, very impressed. I liked it very much.
Game of the Year contender?
I think it might be, yeah.
Damn! A walking simulator
I
from
know.
Caleb.
I know.
Did you
Man, it was
kickstart it at least?
Of course he did, like
No,
5 years ago.
No.
Now Caleb's going to be our new resident walking simulator.
Yeah,
Game
first
player.
he takes
Two.
JRPG guy from me, then he takes walking simulator. What's next?
Yeah, man. I'm so excited.
If you start playing visual novels, we're gonna have to fight.
The other game I've been playing is called Arco. Arco is a turn-based strategy game that also has a really, really good story. It's told through multiple different characters' perspectives, through different arcs, but it's all like a kind of a big...
Arcos.
So bad.
Yeah. So it's multiple perspectives, but it's all one big basically revenge story, and it's told really well, and the gameplay is also a blast. So like I said, it's turn-based strategy, but it kind of plays out only partially turn-based. So it's all paused, and you kind of decide what you're going to do for that turn, right? But you can see what all the enemies are going to do, and when you actually start your turn, when you click what you want to do, it all plays out in real time at the same time. So you got to kind of plan how you're going to move, where you're going to shoot, based on where enemies are going to be at the end of their turn, because you're basically shooting a bow most of the time.
Is it
pretty
kind
slow
of
moving
like
projectile.
what was that Supermassive Games with the redhead after Bastion?
Yeah,
before
a little bit. Transistor.
Thank you.
The
Yes, that was
basketball
going to bother
one.
me.
Not
Yeah,
the
the
basketball.
basketball one. Is it like the basketball one?
No. It is slightly like Transistor.
Okay. I don't think it sounds a little bit different, but same kind of concept at least.
Mm-hmm. One thing they do, so there's this measure of, they call it guilt in the game, where you can like do things like stealing gilded teeth off of a skeleton will give you guilt, but now you have, teeth you can barter with. And as you accrue guilt, while you're playing the turn-based combat, these little ghosts will appear, and they slowly move towards you, and they move when you're planning your turn, not when you're taking your turn.
Oh.
So there's a kind of time-based mechanic to planning out your turns when the ghosts start to show up because of your guilt, which I thought was really cool. It made me take quite a bit of damage because I was like spamming through multiple characters to try to get the turn to go.
That's
Avoid
a
the
really
ghosts.
cool idea.
Do you play more than one character?
Yeah, so you can get companions as you go.
Okay.
You don't have to. You can not, I guess, find anyone to travel with you. But
I played the demo a while back in Next Fest, and I'm pretty sure you only control one character the whole time.
yeah, adding even one more character, it gets a lot more complicated.
I bet.
But I think it's really cool. And
Awesome.
there's a lot of like build designing for each character. You can build them in kind of a few different ways. I think gives it a little bit of replayability. There's also a lot of hidden stuff that I just didn't even find my first time through.
How do you know it's there if you didn't find it?
I had read stuff about it.
Mm.
I think there's a hidden, like a big hidden thing in each arc that I think kind of carries over into a grand, I don't know,
Like
additional story
Arco.
piece.
Like a big
It's a big
moment
arco.
in each arc. You're like,
Yeah, we got
oh.
there. We did it.
You guys are the worst. The worst.
Yeah, it's a surprise when you go, oh, and it's in each arc.
Yeah,
That's good.
checks out.
It's really good, guys. Good game. It might make my game of the year list too. We'll see.
Oh,
Wow. Which
A lot of
one?
stuff.
Which one do you like more between these two?
See, here's the thing: the story in 1000x Resist definitely it's better. It's so good.
Mm.
Like I said, people were comparing it to the Automata. I don't think it's that good, but I think I can see why it's compared.
Wow, not that good. Sounds like it's not game of the year
Yeah,
material.
it sounds like it's
Yeah,
bad, maybe.
I agree.
But
Is Nine
Arco's
Souls on
gameplay
your
is
game of the
just
year list?
Phenomenal. Yeah,
Is Prince of Persia on your game of the year list?
probably.
Man, we're getting a lot of games on here.
Yep.
It's filling it up quick.
Hey, it's already August, man. I mean, we're getting
True.
close.
We still
Ish.
got STALKER coming out.
That's
Heck
true.
Yes.
And Dragon Age Veilguard, which will
Yeah.
definitely gonna be good. Definitely gonna be a good one.
That one. Yep.
I started playing a little
No
bit of
doubts.
Origins this week.
Origins. All right,
Yeah.
you got a ways to go.
I know, right?
To
I
be
was
fair,
like, what if I just play all the Dragon Age games before that comes out? I don't know.
Origins is still pretty handily my favorite one.
Is it? Okay.
Yes. 2,
I-
I think, is hands down the worst one.
I haven't played it in 15 years, so it's weird how much from the beginning I'm remembering even, but it's pretty good so far still. It's also not built for modern resolutions.
That
I
does
had to
make
get
sense.
I had to get a mod to even get like the UI readable,
Really?
which is
Wow.
Damn.
yeah, unfortunate. Everything is super tiny at like 1440p even.
That's brutal.
Last but not least, Jake.
All right. So we talked about most of the interesting games I've been playing. The only other thing I've really been playing, I've been playing more of Marvel Ultimate Alliance. I don't really have anything else to say about it. It's not. I don't know if it's like a good game. It's pretty mindless. It's kind of just like a beat 'em up. But I'm enjoying it. The thing I'm really enjoying about it, probably the most, is that it's from. I think I talked about this last podcast as well. It's from like an era of like comic book stuff before they really got a handle on like. A lot of comic stuff is stupid and shouldn't be included in media. So, like, there's a part in the game where you end up teleported to, like, this evil carnival. And I want people to guess what the name of the carnival is. And the hint I will give you is
no.
that you cannot think of a worse name than the actual name.
It's
It
an
is the
evil
dumbest
carnival.
thing I've ever heard.
Evil Carnival? Is it
Carnival.
Carnival?
That's
Too
good.
clever. Too
Too
good.
clever. I know.
Mm-mm.
Carnival of Evil.
Nope, still too good.
Is it
Wow.
the Evil Carnival?
No, that would be descriptive and therefore good.
Is
It
it
is called...
Carnival?
Nope. Mm-mm. It is called Murder World.
Murder World.
Murder World.
That's good. That's
Wow.
It's
good.
not. It's really not. It's really bad. Doesn't roll off the tongue at all. Doesn't describe what it is at all.
I know, it kind of like gets your mouth all tied up.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Murder
It's
World.
awful. It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. But you
It's
end up
horrible.
there and hearing like Nick Fury's like, "Oh yeah, you got to get into Murder World." It's just like, man, all right, this is a good game.
Yeah, I feel
People
like I-
like go to this carnival?
You
named
don't.
Murder World?
So there's a guy there whose name is Arcade, which they could have leaned
Arcade.
into that more. That would have been a better
Arcade
angle
World.
for this place. Arcade World. Look at that. It's run by a guy named Arcade. It makes sense.
Got it.
Whatever. You
I mean,
like
they probably do murders at Murder World, right?
I don't know. I mean, I guess I did. I was fine. But yeah, I mean, you don't go there on purpose. He like traps you there and then he's like tries to kill you.
Okay.
It's stupid. It's dumb. You play for whatever reason, Murder World. You play like a Pitfall clone. If you know that old game
Oh yeah.
from like way before times, where you like swing on a vine across a pit. It's just something that happens, and it's like, I don't know why they put this in here, but they sure did. And you play it for whatever. It's a dumb game. It's not good. I'm loving it. It's very fun.
The dumb game. It's not good. I'm loving it.
Will this
it's just fun.
make your game of the year list for 2006?
Mhm. Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Nice.
2006. I hope not.
Other
That was a
relevant
good
games
year.
that came out that year: Twilight Princess, Gears of War, Oblivion.
Better than all
Okami.
those so far. Oh, Okami. You know I'm a sucker for Okami. That's not fair.
Guitar Hero 2,
Oh
Mm.
man.
Good times.
Half-Life 2 Episode 1.
Mm.
Wow.
That's
Wow.
crazy.
That is insane.
Anyway,
Will it make your game of the year list for 2006? You're so dumb. All right. Well, I think that's basically it. Guys, I'm going on sabbatical.
Oh,
So-
man.
No kidding.
yeah.
Gotta go
I'll be
find
back in
yourself.
November. Like actually, maybe
Jesus.
Halloween. I think is the next podcast I'll be on.
Ooh, spooky.
So
We could finish The Quarry.
we could
Yeah.
finish the Quarry just during the podcast. Just through the podcast, we'll just play the Quarry.
That's what the people want.
That's correct. Nobody wants the podcast anymore. Yeah, I'm gonna go on sabbatical and dream up the next game that I'm gonna spend countless hours building and creating, so that when we come back with the next V gig, it's something else, but it's similar.
Maybe just spend your
Has to-
vacation on vacation instead. You know.
I
That's
do also
stupid.
do that, but at night I'm just like, my mind is just going. I'm like, where's VS Code? I just need to write something. I don't know what it is. I need to write something. I got to put something down.
I come up with a new game that still fits the same acronym.
Yeah. Video game Immaculate Grid. Video game Indomitable Gauntlet. Video game Interesting Games.
It's good.
All right. Well, thanks so much for joining us. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Somebody will be hosting. Don't know who it will be, but get excited. I think Ben will be back, and he'll have beaten Elden Ring, is what I've heard.
Yeah. That's why he skipped. He was fighting
Margit.
Margit. Yeah. I was trying to think of a cooler boss. I couldn't.
Morgoth.
Morgoth. Yep. Rykard.
Oh, Rykard.
Radigan. I mean, there's this, pick an R or pick
Yeah,
an M.
honestly.
Rene, I don't remember her name.
Renala.
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 Mhm.
Great
Right
job.
on.
There's two that are slightly different, right? One's in the DLC though.
Yeah,
Rolana.
there's a Rolana.
Rolana.
Yeah.
This is off topic. I know we're trying to end. But literally, I was playing the DLC and I beat her and I was like, wow, Rolana was really hard. And Caleb goes, I don't know who that is. And I'm like, what do you mean? You already beat her.
What? I don't remember that. I remember
Yeah,
Rolana.
no, you were like, well, because then I was like, oh yeah, because she's Renala's sister. And you're like, oh, I didn't know that.
that
And
I
I was
didn't
like,
know.
yeah, and then I was like, oh, it's like crazy that she came here and she's like working with Mesmer. And you were like, oh, maybe she's not. I'm like, it's in the lore. I'm looking at it.
Caleb's just
Anyways.
trying to beat the how long to beat average time every time, so that when we have the conversation, he
I
can point
explore
out to
every
Alex
nook
that
and
he's
cranny,
slow
man.
at playing games. That's
Just doesn't read any of the freaking lore, apparently.
correct.
He's
correct.
not a
No-
true
no
Elden
reading.
Ring gamer. He hasn't even beat the final
Correct.
boss of the
That's
DLC.
true.
Wow. Says the guy who hasn't beat the game. Baseline.
That's true.
Get
That's
out of here.
true.
Don't at me.
Anyway, thanks so much for joining us. We'll catch you next time. See you guys.
Bye.